Hey there, micro folks. This is Mr. Hooker, and today we're going to talk about monopolistic competition. This and oligopoly are your two big, imperfectly competitive market structures. They make up most of the businesses you would ever go and shop at. So let's get started with this really quick. So, monopolistic competition is characterized by a relatively large number of sellers. There's a lot of them out there, there's a lot of competition. The name kind of comes from the way that they look at things. They look at themselves as monopolistic firms. You and I just look at them as competition. They're just competitive to us. We don't really see them as being unique as they see themselves being unique, and that they see themselves being unique from the second thing. They have slight product differentiation, so they differentiate their products, and so that gives them a slight difference from each other. There's also easy entry and exit. There's not much cost to get in, not much cost to get out. They do a lot of non-price competition, which remember is advertising, which reduces the competition, gives firms greater pricing power. This is how Starbucks charges you $6 for a cup of coffee that used to cost like 50 cents. They make people believe that, hey, this is the best thing ever, and that is how that happens. So a lot of that non-price competition, that advertising, making people believe that, hey, this is a great, great good, and this is why we're going to charge you more. And nowadays, I'm a big Pepsi guy, but I understand this whole non-price competition thing. Coke has actually started buying out Pepsi's shelf space in convenience stores, which is another form of non-price competition. Because if you don't see Pepsi, you can't buy Pepsi. Um, and I'm just like, as an economist, I'm just like, tip of the cap. That is a brilliant strategy. As a Pepsi drinker, I'm like, you sorry sons of guns. But I get it. It's a brilliant strategy. If you buy out all of them and you leave them with like three shelves or two shelves, then they have to decide, like, how am I gonna, you know, what am I gonna put on those two shelves, um, of all the different drinks that I have, the Mountain Dew, the Pepsi Zero, all these different things. And now instead of having a full case and whatever, now I have two shelves in one case. So it's insane. And if you're wondering, it's like this. For the folks in Hardin Valley, the one that's done this is the Exxon right there across the street. They've gone to like almost no Pepsi. And I asked them why, and they said, well, Coke bought up all the shelf space. And, if they're going to do that, they're going to do that. And if they do it in multiple places, I think, that's just what it's going to be. If you got the money, you got to do it. If Pepsi doesn't want to pay, let Coke pay. That's a market thing, and I'm a market guy. So, what happens, happens. Industry concentration, this is done but two ways. One, the four firm concentration ratio, percentage of sales by the largest four firms. So whatever the largest four firms sell, this is what you're going to get. So if you had five firms in an industry and they each sold 20% equal sales across the board, your four firm concentration ratio would be 80. Okay. 4 times 20 was 80%. So output of the four largest firms divided by the total output of the industry, whatever. HERF, or the Herfindahl Hirschman Index, or the Herfindahl, or the HERF is what it's sometimes called, is the sum of squared market shares. Um, High numbers, bad. Low numbers, good. We do not like concentrated markets. The more concentrated it is, the larger the number is going to be. 10,000 is a monopoly. Um, and then, there's a document in your um, class about what the DOJ does as far as looking at um, mergers and what they look at for the HERF. So what the original HERF had to be and what the change was and what the new HERF had to be. It's kind of interesting. So some low concentration industries, jewelry, percentage for the four firm, 32. The HERF for the top 50, 550. Plastic pipe, 31, 303. Plastic bags, 28, 320. Asphalt paving, 25 and 230. Bolts, nuts, and rivets, 23, 198. Women's dresses, 22, 236. Metal windows and doors, 17 and 143. Quick printing, there's a quick printing everywhere. It's 17 and 108. Concrete, we've already talked about that before. It is 14 and 89. Sawmills, here in the South, there are sawmills everywhere. 14 and 93. Signs, 9 and 36. Retail bakeries, there are a ton of those. It's 5 and 12. Unbelievable that is 12 for Herfindahl. Price and output and monopolistic competition. Demand is highly elastic, which means you're going to have a very pretty much flat demand curve, right? Short run profit and loss. You produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. You're only going to get a normal profit in the long run because it's very easy to enter and exit. So if you're making an economic profit, people will see that and then they'll be like, ooh, we need to get into that. And as they get in, they're going to eliminate your economic profit. If you're making an economic loss, there's easy exit, and therefore people will exit, people will contract, and so on and so forth. This video will be in the class for you. A monopolistically competitive firm for short run profits. Notice downward sloping demand curve, downward sloping marginal revenue curve, which is below the demand curve. We are going marginal cost, upward sloping, intersecting average total cost at its minimum. Marginal cost equals marginal revenue, and we will go from marginal cost straight up. That provides us Q1 or Q star. Go straight up from there to demand. Take a hard left. That gives us price at P1 or negative or P star. That is your revenue per unit down to ATC. Take another hard left. That gives us cost per unit. And so revenue minus cost per unit is profit per unit. The box gives us economic profit. If we're making economic profit, remember people will enter and that will go away. All right. Once again, marginal revenue equals marginal cost up to demand. Take a hard left. That gives us, at this point, Q2 and P2. Then we're going to go up to average total cost. At this point, we're making a loss. Take another hard left. That gives us cost per unit. And that box now is, because we had to go up to average total cost, is our economic loss. Firms will leave and we will be good. All right. Long run equilibrium once the firms exit. Notice marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Go up. And that is basically where demand equals average total cost as well, but it is not where marginal cost equals average total cost. So there is no economic profit, but there is some excess capacity. So let's take a deeper look, and I'll come back to that other slide, but we're going to take a deeper look at that. So the one on the right is a little bit blown up, and you see marginal revenue equals marginal cost go up to point A. And there is demand equals average total cost. And then if you go over, C is where marginal cost equals demand. B is where marginal cost equals ATC. So ABC is the triangle between average total cost and demand. And that is your excess. That is your excess capacity in that sense. So coming back to this, it is a little inefficient. Price is greater than the minimum ATC, is productively inefficient, and price is greater than MC, so it's allocatively inefficient. So there is some excess capacity. However, they do provide you with product variety, which we love, right? Not everybody wants a black car. Not everybody wants the same colored shirt. Not everybody wants the same colored pants. We like variety. All right. So the firm is constantly managing price, product, and advertising. We get better product differentiation. We get better advertising. So the consumer benefits by a greater array of choices and better products. We get different types, different styles, different brands, different qualities. You can choose what quality you're willing to pay for. So maybe you want a high quality product of a certain type. And maybe for other products, you don't care what type of quality you get. So for those things you want high quality, you can get a high quality. You can pay a little bit more, get high quality. For those things you don't care, you can pay a little bit less and get low quality and just go with it. And so it is my contention that everybody is brand loyal to something. For me, it is Pepsi. I'm a Pepsi guy. I will, I have been on Coca-Cola campuses before, and I was the guy that would drive off campus to go get Pepsi. And then when people found out I would do that, they would be like, "Oh, I like Pepsi too. Will you get me a Pepsi as well?" So that happens. I don't know what you may be brand loyal to, but take a second, think about it. What are the things that you will always buy a specific brand of? Whether it be paper goods, electronic goods, um, cars, hunting goods, those kinds of things, sporting goods. What are those things that you will always buy a specific brand for? For my brother, it's certain hunting goods he will always buy specific brands for. All right. So higher wages, more McRestaurants. Higher minimum wage favors the big hamburger chains. So big chain restaurants are capital intensive. So an increase in the minimum wage doesn't affect them much. The mom and pop restaurants are labor intensive. So an increase in the minimum wage can't put them out of business or could put them out of business. Politicians and the public need to be aware of the consequences of the policy. So back when I used to work in Nebraska, I worked in Walmart for a summer. And during that summer, in the break room, they had these things. There was this push for a higher minimum wage. And Walmart was doing this thing that was like, yeah, so we believe in your rights. Vote for a higher minimum wage. I'm thinking, as an economist, I'm thinking, yeah, they don't care about that because if they wanted to pay you more, they could. They've got billions of dollars. What they're wanting to do is put all these small businesses around town out of business so they can charge people more. And so it was one of those things I started telling the workers that. I mean, I wasn't there much longer for that, but it's one of those things. They don't care. Large businesses, they have the money to pay you more. If they wanted to pay you more, they would pay you more. It's like the old Chris Rock joke. Them paying you minimum wage just basically says that if they could pay you more, I mean, if they could pay you less, they would pay you less. So that is kind of the way that works. But if they wanted to pay you more, they can afford to pay you more. So the reason they main they kind of campaign on the idea of a higher minimum wage is to put their competition out of business, not to help their workers. Just be clear about how that works. So that's it for this one. Next up, oligopoly. Take care, folks. We'll see you later.